Question: how would you feel if this happened to you? You've just finished writing your next new song and it's actually really good. In fact, you're pretty excited about it. So you record this amazing new song, and after putting in all that work and time and maybe even some money to record it, you listen back to that final recording and you sit back and you think to yourself, yeah, that didn't end up sounding as good as I thought it was going to. Nobody wants that, right? If you want to avoid that end of the recording disappointment feeling, then before you hit record on your next song, there's a critical first step the pros do, and I've been doing it for years myself, that makes the recording process a whole lot easier and ensures that that new song of yours is actually going to sound its very best. Alright, so what's this mysterious and magical step that will help your next song sound the very best that it can? It's a critical step in between writing your song and recording your song called pre-production. And pre-production is really just another way of saying figuring out what you're going to do before you do it for real. And this can look really different for different people depending on the situation. For example, if you're in a band working with a label, it's probably going to look a little different than it does for me, but the principle is the same. As someone who is writing my songs by myself, mostly recording my songs by myself in my home studio by myself in my spare time, what this looks like for me is I actually record a demo version of my song before I start recording the real version. Now, this may sound like a lot of extra work, and some people may even consider it to be like a waste of time, but I find it actually to be incredibly helpful in making my songs sound so much better. So, there are three main reasons why I record a pre-production demo, and I really think you should consider doing it next time you record your song as well. So, let's talk about it. Alright, so I have a pre-production version of a song I'm currently working on pulled up here in my recording software. I thought we'd use this as an example. This song is called Keep On Moving Along, at least that's the working title for now, and it's kind of a country southern rock vibe. Now, I recorded this a couple of months ago with no intention of sharing it online in a video, so keep that in mind and go easy on me. This is kind of just personal work here, but at the same time, you are getting the real deal here. I didn't just do this for a video. Alright, so if we take a look at the tracks we have going on here, you can see I've got actually kind of quite a bit going on here. It's kind of a full-fledged demo version here. I'm using Easy Drummer for my drums, so I have that going on. You can ignore these are disabled bass tracks. I don't even remember why I have those. I have a bass track here, acoustic guitar track, rhythm guitar 1, electric guitar, rhythm guitar 2, also electric guitar. I have a little guitar solo and lead thing going on. I have a very poorly played and out of tune fake steel guitar. I'm going to have someone else do real steel guitar at some point. Feature video on that. Vocal. So I have my lead vocal here, and then you can see I have these other vocal tracks, and what those are is if we scroll down to the end, I decided to add like a choir of Greg at the end. So we'll check that out here in just a moment as well as we talk about more of this stuff. Alright, let's take a quick listen to the beginning and get an idea of what we're working with here.
Mesas in New Mexico. I kept a postcard once, but I lost it along the way. I took a trip home to find myself, boarded uptown in a cheap motel. I guess it's just as well, we've both seen our better days.
Alright, so there you go. Like I said, kind of a country and southern rock vibe going on. Okay, so reason number one why I create a pre-production demo, and you should too, is creative freedom. So a pre-production demo is a creative playground where we can have permission to just try things without the pressure of nailing that perfect keep or take. We're not going to be focusing on those perfectly performed parts. Our focus is on what's really important at this stage, and that's the song itself as a whole. So basically, this is where we're going to make a lot of the big decisions around what our song and our recording is actually going to sound like. So, for example, which instruments are going to be in the song and how many, who's playing what and when, how does the song start and end? This seems to be an afterthought sometimes, but how your song starts is actually incredibly important, especially in these days of Spotify and Apple Music and all that stuff. How am I going to transition from the second chorus into the bridge? Does the arrangement feel right? Does that bass guitar part work with the drums? Are the guitars working well together? Does the vocal melody feel right within the song and sit on top nicely? A lot of times I'll start panning the different parts to where I think they may end up in the real recording and see if there's anything that sounds like it's missing or maybe isn't quite big enough. And all of those decisions and more were made for this song while working on this demo recording. And again, because I'm not worried about those perfect performances, I'm not precious about these tracks. I have the freedom to get creative, have fun, just try stuff, delete things, move things, right? And just see what works best for the song. I'm also not worried about getting those perfect tones at this point either. When I'm recording my guitars and my bass, I just used close enough settings. When I recorded the vocal for this, I just sat here with the handheld microphone like this and just sang it like this late at night while my kids are asleep, nothing fancy. And because of all this is really probably my favorite part of the recording process. I like to get creative and try things, and I just really like to hear my song ideas start to come to life. Okay, so let's listen to a few examples of these decisions that I made in this pre-production demo. If we go back to the very beginning, you can see we got acoustic guitar here, we got our 2 rhythm guitars, and I had this at the beginning. All right, nice big full sound, but I knew I wanted a little melodic hook at the beginning, so this allowed me to try a bunch of different things. At that point, I was working on some double stop 6th and 3rd things on my guitar, and so that's where I came up with this idea using 6ths. So just a nice melodic singable hook idea, right? And then going back to, who's playing what and when. If we look at verse 1 here, I decided I want everything to come down real nice and low after that. So we've just got the acoustic guitar, as far as guitars go, acoustic guitar strumming, doing its thing. And then I wanted just one rhythm guitar here. And it's kind of just playing palm mute, 8th note kind of stuff. All right, just kind of keeping that down. Now, that verse 1 leads into verse 2, and I knew I wanted it to build up a little bit to add some interest. And I tried some things on electric guitar, that second rhythm part, and it was just too much. That's when I came up with the idea of having a steel guitar, and I came up with this poorly played faux steel guitar part here. But it was just enough to add a little interest without being too much. So check that out right here. All right, again, I'm gonna have someone else play that. Now, when I get to the chorus, that's when that second rhythm guitar part comes in because I want something nice and big there. Obviously, it's a chorus, right? So, and what I like to do, especially in this kind of genre, I like to have my 2 rhythm guitars panned hard left and hard right and have complementing rhythms playing something a little bit different. So, guitar 1, the rhythm guitar, you can see it's gonna be playing more like cowboy chords and stuff down here, nice and open. And then rhythm guitar 2, it's going to be more up here, playing triad kind of stuff up here. And it's going to have a different rhythm that complements. And if we put both those together in context, you'll hear a little bit of back and forth, which helps make it sound big and wide. And because I have this demo playground area to just try things, I think I was able to come up with something that works really well for this song. Now, another cool part is on the second half of this chorus, the 2 guitar parts play something more rhythmic, and they're very different from each other, but you could almost kind of sing along with it. It's almost like a hook in of itself. Okay, so another example is when I got to the end of this song, I wanted it to be kind of nice and big, but with just guitars and drums and bass and stuff, it just wasn't as big as I wanted to. So, as I kind of showed you earlier, what I did is I stacked a bunch of vocals. So this is like a choir of Greg. It's 3-part harmony, and each harmony part is doubled and panned hard left and right. And that kind of did the thing that I was hoping to get, this nice big full sound. So here's what that ended up sounding like. Right, so again, I had this place where I could just try things, and I'm not good at harmonies at all, but I was able to find notes, threw it through auto-tune real quick and all that kind of stuff, and that's where I ended up. Now, of course, doing all these things, my project sometimes gets a little messy. I don't name things very well, or I don't clean up all my punches, or, you know, I got all kinds of things going on. That's okay. My real session would not be this messy, but again, here, it's fine. And you can see I do add some plugins on some things here and there, you know, or sometimes I'll do a quick edit to fix a timing thing that's just really annoying. But again, I'm using these like go-to settings, and I'm literally spending only seconds on those. I don't want to get bogged down in perfecting this. My focus again is really on the song as a whole and making it sound like it should. All right, reason number 2, I record a pre-production demo version, and you should too, is you'll get a better real recording. So once I've finished my demo version, I pretty much have decided what every part is going to be, which instruments are playing what and when, right? For example, we just looked at those guitar tracks at the beginning with the intro, verse 1, verse 2, and the chorus, right? Great example of that. Having all of this already figured out makes recording the final version of the song much easier, faster, and a smoother process, because I can now focus on putting all of my effort into getting killer guitar tones, great performances, excellent timing, and those perfect takes. Now, taking a look at this song again, you can see I actually have a guitar solo here, and I did spend some time in this pre-production phase figuring out exactly what I want that to sound like. And again, I was able to try lots of different things. So here's what I came up with, and it sounds like this. Now, just because I've decided what's being played during this pre-production, does that mean I can't change something, like maybe this guitar solo, when I'm recording the real version of my song? Of course not. And I do change things on occasion. There's obviously no law that says that I can't. So for example, sometimes I learn a new guitar technique or guitar lick that I want to work into something like this solo during the real recording, or maybe I just feel differently inspired that day, right? But if I do decide to change it, then I have a solid context in which I'm working, and I can better make those decisions because I know what the song sounds like, I know where it's headed, and all those kinds of things. Another added bonus is that a lot of times there can be a few weeks or sometimes even months before I have the time to really record my song. Maybe work's busy, maybe I have several songs lined up and I can't get to all of them. Maybe I'm waiting on files to come back from somebody, right? So having a demo version like this with all these parts decided is a great way to have all of my decisions documented, because personally, there is no way that I could remember all of this. Reason number 3 why I record a pre-production demo version, and you should too, is drums. When I go to record the real version of my song, I almost always start with the drums. Sometimes it's a real drummer, sometimes I'm just working on the drum parts myself, an easy drummer. It really just depends on the song. The reason I start with the drums is because I want everything else I play and record to line up with the groove and the feel that the drums are establishing. Now, if everything is locked to a grid, then it's, you know, not really that big of a deal to add the drums later. But if there's a shuffle or a swing feel especially, then I definitely want to make sure I have the drums establish that feel first, because for me, the drums are that foundation that everything else rests on. Now, if I'm having a drummer play real drums on my song, then I will actually give him my pre-production demo so he can play to that. And because the pre-production version is, you know, pretty close to what the real recording is going to sound like, he has a really good context in which he can feel comfortable and play what's going to work best for the song. He can lay down the right groove, he knows when to add appropriate fills that are going to work well and push the song along, you know, all those kinds of things. If I were to just send him an acoustic guitar track with maybe a scratch vocal, then he wouldn't have much to go on, and there would be a certain amount of assuming and guessing on his part, and that may not fit as well for the final recording or limit me from doing things I wanted to do. And that wouldn't be his fault at all, because he just didn't have enough information to go on. The same thing goes for when I'm writing my own drum parts in EasyDrummer, and even though it's my song and I have an idea of what I want the song to sound like, having a pre-production version helps me come up with better final drum parts. And then I'm able to play the other instruments to that and get a nice cohesive sound, and it just makes things so much easier. Now, if we jump back into this pre-production demo again, if you look right here, a lot of times the drum parts are very basic and I'm just pulling a groove from EasyDrummer. And you know, I'll do some little tweaking or something like that maybe to make sure the basic beat I want is there and fits well. But I do all of this inside the EasyDrummer editor here, which is really great. EasyDrummer 3 makes this a whole lot easier. And I just copy and paste my verses and my choruses and all that kind of stuff. I don't worry about working out every drum fill. You know, I'll add a crash at the beginning of a section. I'll switch from a hi-hat to a rider crashes in the chorus, you know, which is all very super simple and quick and easy in EasyDrummer. And if there's a section where everyone stops and starts together, or, you know, maybe everyone hits a certain rhythm at the same time, or maybe if there's a really important drum fill, I'll probably work that in. But in general, I keep it really simple because, again, I don't want to get too bogged down with all these minute details and perfecting it. Again, this is just a demo version. I'm focused on the song as a whole. All right, the next video in this series is going to dive deeper into how I get drums for my song. So make sure to check that out if you want to learn the first step into getting some nice big rock guitars. Check this video out right here. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.